old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
This Sunday night at 7 on the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket, we are going to be joined live by 16-year-old standout Jade Evadizian. She pilots the Mobil 1 sponsor, number 71 in the Extreme Outlaw Digital Track Series. You can join in and be a part of the conversation as we hear how this young lady is on track racing, wild sliders at I-5 and last quarter pass at Atomic Speedway, or Team S for another win back in March. Don't miss a second of the conversation this Sunday night at 7, right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one decision could spell can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Vershawn Jackson for Brandt Excavating. Brandt's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brandt is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brandt Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrandtExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brandt Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go Big Brandt!
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn an education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! We're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Welcome to it on a Wednesday. On the Block with you for the next couple of hours here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I'm Austin Norman. To my left, filling in for Strick is Nick Sainer. Or maybe that is Eric Strick. How are your 9 years in the NBA?
Uneventful. Filling in for a professional athlete with a non-professional athlete, and just non-professional. So,
but at least your teeth are working.
Here they are. Yeah, at least I didn't have to have was it an emergency dental procedure? We had no clue about this.
He didn't say. He just said had dental procedure.
Okay. Well,
it
had to be somewhat serious because they put him under.
Right.
So I don't know, but it is what it is. I guess, it's fine.
I don't know much about dental procedures because I got off pretty lucky. I never had braces.
Yeah. I had braces back in second grade, but
got them done early.
Not even full. So actually, I have a pretty sad story.
Oh no.
I only needed like 4 braces.
Okay.
On my top teeth. Everything else was fine. I just needed 4 on my top teeth. Had them on for like a little over a year or whatever. Got them off. A week later, my friend, we were messing around. And he pushed me, and I chipped my front tooth. I had to get the permanent retainer that they put on my teeth in the back. Had to be taken off, and they had to fill and fix my tooth. And so that's why I have everything else is perfect, just a little bit of a gap in between my 2 front teeth. It's so stupid. because a week after,
were you just like playing on the sidewalk or something?
yeah, we were
or-
playing on the sidewalk, and my buddy jumped on my back, and I fell down and went face first into the concrete and chipped my front tooth. And yeah, it's unfortunate because like I had perfect teeth for like a week until it
best week of your life.
Oh yeah, it was like I was still getting used to the feeling of like how smooth it was without braces.
Mhm.
But here I was. So I don't know. It's
We're glad you pulled through.
Michael Strahan. Here I
Yes, first you're Eric Strickland, now you're Michael Strahan.
am. Here I am.
I love it.
I don't want to be Nick.
I don't know how we're supposed to follow up what Spotted Cow just described as the best segment of radio of all time.
Well, the good part is we were both a part of it.
True.
That's the good thing. So
True. We did do that. So we're just gonna fill a few more minutes before we talk some Husker football with Evan Bland. 402-464-5685, the numbers for you to get into the show. Honda of Lane hotline or Sartor Heyman text line. The first thing that really stuck out to me, Nick, in just a few minutes here is Rob Saleh went off on his offense last night. A clip that I saw on Twitter. It was in Hard Knocks as well. The quote was, made radio friendly.
Yes.
Of course. Offense, guys, it was our first blank opportunity to change the stink that's been in this organization for a very long time on the offensive side of the ball. You can have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can have two $10 million plus receivers. You can have a reigning offensive rookie of the year. You can have all kinds of skill in the running back room. None of it bleep matters until the big boys up front change who the bleep we are. What? First of all, whoa. Second of all, my first thought was, okay, maybe he's hamming it up for the cameras a little bit. I think that's just who Robert Saleh is. Quiet, intense, focused. And my big question is, does that work on athletes? Does calling them out in front of the team, is that effective? I just don't know, because that was quite a rant that went on for like a good minute and a half or so.
Well, I think also part of it's somewhat changed over the last 15, 20 years. Like that used to be the way. That used to be the universal way to get something out of your team was to get on them, right? We remember like Augie Garrido and from Texas and I mean his famous rants for Texas baseball and things like that. That used to be their way. Bo Pelini did it at times as well. And I think what's interesting about that style is that a lot of guys in the moment will get pissed off, will use it and say, why does he got to say it that way? Why can't he do it in a constructive way? But then years removed from it, they realize maybe it wasn't so bad. I think that's what that approach does, where maybe that's just the way Rob Saleh decides to coach his guys. I'll answer it with a follow-up question for you, because this is something that I've kind of been pondering the last few days as Jets and preseason football has kind of commenced and things like that. With the New York Jets, they just go out and sign Dalvin Cook. They have Breece Hall, obviously, in the background where he's still recovering from his injury. Where before he got injured, I mean, he was the dude. Not only for the New York Jets, but one of the better running backs in the entire league. Now you go out and sign Aaron Rodgers. You sign a couple former Packers that are Aaron Rodgers teammates. You have a good young wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. Is this do or die for the New York Jets? I think so. Strick and I touched briefly on this yesterday, but my fuller thoughts are, I think it is. You have a really a 2-year window with Aaron Rodgers is I think all you can bank on. He took that pay cut. Yeah. Right. He did the thing that he didn't do for Green Bay. He made Green Bay pay him all his money, but he went to the Jets and was willing to renegotiate, to restructure his contract. That's huge. What do they do with it? They go out and sign Dalvin Cook, who I don't know if he's better than Aaron Jones. I don't know that he's not better than Aaron Jones. That's a that level, at least, type of running back to pair with Breece Hall, to pair with Garrett Wilson. I think Aaron Jones does different things than Dalvin Cook. I think he's a much better pass catcher out of the backfield. And that was something that Aaron Rodgers, frankly, needed, especially early on in the season last year, was somebody just to rely on in the pass catching game. Because Christian Watson, you might remember, they struggled. Like their chemistry was tough and was not good at the start of the season. But then about halfway through, Christian Watson started catching some passes, had fewer drops, and they started to build a really good a chemistry between the two. But you always had Aaron Jones to dump it off to. Right. That's a big help for a quarterback. To me, it's a big. Who's also immobile, like not very mobile. Right. I mean, he can get outside the pocket, but he's not gonna. He's not Josh Allen. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not a Patrick Mahomes, and he's just older. Right. I mean, it's just the aging curve for an NFL quarterback. Absolutely.
I think it's a big bet by the Jets on Aaron Rodgers elevating that offense. I would say watch out for the defense to maybe take a half step back. They got to prove that they're top 5 good again this year. I think Robert Saleh is that good as a coordinator, but
I really
they got to
like
put it all
Robert
together.
Saleh. I really like Robert Saleh. I liked him as a coordinator when he was at San Francisco,
San Fran.
right? Because he was the defensive coordinator for San Fran, I believe. So anyway, even if you want to take it a step further, and obviously this is all hypothetical situations, but if you take it a step further, and the Jets last year were 7-10, right? 7-10. If they're that or worse this year, you're going to be sitting there going, excuse me, what was it for? Especially if the Giants take a step forward. The Giants are getting a healthy Saquon back after a tumultuous offseason with his contract and stuff. They just signed Daniel Jones to 40 million a year. Goodness, not 40 years, 40 million a year. They've gotten a couple interesting and intriguing draft picks. Hopefully Wan'Dale can come back healthy. They got Kayvon Thibodeau on their defense, like the Giants do. I mean, if other teams are able to continue to progress while the Jets kind of just either stay neutral or regress for that matter, there's going to be some real question marks of not only Robert Saleh, but the New York Jets organization. But that also goes to show like the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers. If things don't start out well, what's Aaron Rodgers going to look like?
How's he going to react? He's never been in this type of market with this type of pressure. Definitely something to watch. We're going to take our first break of the show. When we get back, we'll dive into Husker football fall camp. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald will join us after this.
Junior Achievement of Lincoln inspires and prepares young success. Learn more about the people involved in the organization and the success stories over the years each Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. for the Junior Achievement Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This Sunday night at 7 on the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket, we are going to be joined live by 16-year-old standout Jade Evadizian. She pilots the Mobile One sponsor number 71 in the Extreme Outlaw Midget Dirt Track Series. You can join in and be a part of the conversation as we hear how this young lady is putting her mark on dirt track racing. From throwing wild sliders I-55 and Peabody to last quarter passes for the win at Atomic Speedway or driving under Team S for another win back March. Don't miss a second of the conversation. This Sunday night at 7, right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental is available, and prescription very low premium. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing. At 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
For Sean Jackson for Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrantExcavating.com. They're also hiring. So join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go Big Brand!
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Nutrition Authority invites you to save 35 to 75% off at our back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 14th through 19th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're here on the block. Austin Norman, Nick Sainert with you. Megan Walker running the board. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to go to our Allo VIP line, Allo Fiber, where we understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We bring in Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, hope you're doing well. Where are you at with this Nebraska football team about, halfway through fall camp? Are you seeing more positive signs than negative signs? What's your general vibe from fall camp over these first 13, 14 practices?
Somewhere in the middle, I think. It kind of reminds me a little bit of spring ball, the spring games specifically, where you could see kind of what they were going for and what it might look like here with more time for development and culture setting in and things like that. But I think there's also a fairly healthy sort of realism of this is still a pretty young team, pretty new team. There are question marks. I've appreciated coaches when they've had the chance to really gush about their units have just kind of been we like where we're going, but we still have a couple weeks where we need to get better in some areas. And so, you can kind of break down what those different areas are, but I just think it's been a healthy sort of global view of where this program is. And I contrast that with maybe the last couple of years when you think about Nebraska and Illinois, Nebraska against Northwestern, the dialogue out of the team leading up to those games were wow, we need to get some momentum going. This is a huge game. And I feel right now, as they're looking toward the opener, it's about Minnesota, but it's also about this is the first of 12. I think it's much more process oriented, the conversations, than they have been results based. I think that's a healthy place for Nebraska to be.
Is that just a product of having a new coach in place, or is that something that now the new coach and Matt Rule and his staff have made a concerted effort to make it about?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think certainly that's something that Matt Rule and his staff have emphasized. I mean, we've heard get 1% better every day. I don't know, 189 times at this point through fall camp. So it's clear that that's an emphasis, but I think it's also true that, it's been a long time since Nebraska's had a winning record and been playing meaningful football into November. So I think the temptation to talk about wins and losses isn't as great as it was 5 or 6 years ago because, again, you've just been burned so many times and kind of beaten down by the way that some of these seasons have gone. I think there's a full embrace of this idea of, okay, let's strip this thing down. Let's start from the beginning. Let's work towards something eventually. And if it doesn't come right away, I think there's a little bit more patience and willingness to go through that process, however long it takes, and a little bit less sort of instant gratification just because of where the program is right now.
Hey, Evan, what's up? It's Nick. I'm filling in for Strick. So not necessarily a professional athlete fill-in, but something somewhat close. Hey, so I'm going to try to keep this as short and as concise as possible, but one of the thoughts that I've kind of had over the last couple of days, especially now with the Xavier Betts news is how important it's going to be for Nebraska, and we say it every year, to establish some type of running game, right? Because as we all can agree, you figure out a running game, it's going to open up maybe some traditional play action options, and then also take pressure off of Jeff Sims and those receivers to go out and make those plays that we saw Trey Palmer make so many times, or Samori Toure the year before that makes so many times, where, I mean, you saw the meme, it was just, screw it, throw it up to Trey Palmer. How important is it with Nebraska being a little thin? And Matt Rule talked, lengthily yesterday about how he doesn't need the freshmen to come out and be, rock stars in their first 3 or 4 games. How important does that make it that they figure out an established and running game and maybe even a traditional play action type of offense?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think about what you mentioned with Matt Rule commenting on how Nebraska doesn't necessarily need its true freshman receivers to play. I thought one of the lines of fall camp he delivered shortly after that, which was, you can't subcontract winning out to young players. And man, I mean, when you think about some of Nebraska's struggles in recent years, how many times did you kind of go into a fall camp at different positions and think, man, if this true freshman or if this new guy could really step up, maybe that's the difference. And this is a hard turn away from that notion to say, hey, Malachi Coleman, he may be a very, very good player at Nebraska when his career is all said and done, but it might not happen right away. I think acknowledging that, taking some of that pressure off those freshmen, and then turning around and saying, our older guys can play. We know that we're going to rely on them. Like, I think that gives them then a little bit of, extra ownership, a little bit of an extra motivation that this is their time. And I think Minnesota is the perfect opponent to really see that manifest right away, right? Because you're not talking about sort of a spread, sort of more finesse type of team. I mean, you're talking about a team that is what it is. It's going to dominate possession of the ball. It's going to do what it does. And so if you're Nebraska and you want to possess the ball more, as they have said that they do, then yeah, you're going to have to lean on that running game, and maybe even more so because of the personnel situation, where you're talking about relying a little bit more on walk-ons at receiver outside of Billy Kemp and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. So the question then becomes like, okay, this is what they want to do. This is sort of the plan going in, but what does that look like on, 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 2? Like, do you have in those moments the confidence in your offensive line and the commitment to the run game to run Anthony Grant or run Gabe Ervin or Ramir Johnson or whomever into that line? Or do you sort of fall back on, okay, let's run a little out route, or hey, let's run Jeff Sims, whatever it's going to be. So I think that's the most interesting part, is the circumstances would tell you that it would make a lot of sense for Nebraska to run. History says they haven't been able to. So what happens now when, the leather hits the grass, so to speak?
Yeah. When you look at that wide receiver position specifically, I think there's been a lot of that boomer bust element. Do you think relying more on maybe these more unknown walk-ons instead of freshmen will get rid of some of the boomer bust element for maybe more consistency but lower the ceiling? Or are these guys that and walk-ons, again, you might not know exactly what they are, and maybe they're just as good, if not better, and more ready?
Well, I mean, we'll see. Ultimately, like, when you look at kind of the careers of Ty Hahn and Alex Bullock, like, those were guys who were shifty in high school. I mean, certainly they had the speed at that level to outrun guys and make plays too. I don't know that that's the case at the college level, where they'd be able to take the top off of defense the way that Trey Palmer did, or even Samori Toure did before that. I think in some ways they're probably, variations of Billy Kemp, who can kind of find pockets in the defense and shake loose and run crisp routes and are dependable and are tough, all those sorts of things, which is what I think really hurts the most about losing Xavier Betts. Was he was sort of differently gifted in that way. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago, just how he was able to outrun Power 5 defenders and make big plays. It remains to be seen, I suppose, if Nebraska has that guy on the roster. Maybe it's Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. I mean, we saw a little bit of that in his 4 games that he played last year before he stepped away. So that's a possibility. And then, again, even though you're not relying on those true freshmen, like you brought those guys in for a reason. I mean, Bryce Turner, Jalen Lloyd are legitimate burners. Malachi Coleman, the same thing. Jaden Doss might be one of the most polished of that group. So like you have 6 scholarship players that are in there. If even 1 or 2 of them hit by say midway through the season, something clicks and they're out there a little bit more, I think that can add to it as well. But I think to the previous point too, like you have to know what your strengths and what your strengths are and what they are not on the team. And so, if Nebraska wants to be a running team and circumstances are setting them up to be that, let's go out and see them do it and let's see how they do.
We're speaking to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald on the Allo VIP line. And Evan, a couple more before we go ahead and let you go. I guess wide receiver is probably one of those positions that we can somewhat expect growing pains. If you look elsewhere on the team, I mean, what position group do you kind of see or expect that we're sitting there halfway through the season going, all right, there's been some younger guys that have needed to step up and you can tell that there's some younger guys, there's some growing pains that they're going to have to, endure from week 1 to week 11.
I mean, I think it's got to be defensive line. I think that's the spot where you can see what the upside is, but you just don't have a lot of those proven bodies in there. I mean, other than Ty Robinson, who started, 20-some games for Nebraska, I think Nash Helmacher started 2, and then that's it in terms of anybody who started at the Power 5 level. So, like, you could see it with, say, someone like Elijah Judy, right? Like someone who got a handful of snaps with A&M. You could see it with, some of the true freshmen, certainly, Cam Lenhart and Prince Will Uman-Mielen. Like, those are guys that you could see it with. Lace Gunnarsson certainly looked the part when he spoke with, reporters last week. But he's never really been a kind of a hand in the ground sort of guy. He's always been an outside linebacker, edge rusher type. So what does that look like for him? Kyle Wallen had a really good junior college career, and now he's at Nebraska. So how does that translate? And I think longer term, you look at guys like Riley Van Poppel and Vincent Carroll Jackson, who I think have really high upside in a couple of years, maybe after they have a chance to develop more physically. But that's just a group where, if you're just kind of looking at it on paper, you're probably wondering what that's going to look like, just because there isn't really all that much of a proven commodity there. But I do think internally they're growing more comfortable with the guys that they have. They like what they've seen in practice, the physical attributes, all the rest. And ultimately, like, that's another one of those positions where you just kind of don't know until you get into the grind necessarily what guys have. And so I think they feel like they've got a rotation of, 6 or 7 that they feel good about right now. And there's no better way to kind of test that theory than when the game starts counting here in a couple of weeks.
You heard from Josh Martin earlier this week. Did he mention any of those, growing pains for him stepping into that role from special teams analyst, or was it just kind of business as usual for him? What do you take away from hearing him speak?
Well, I don't know if it was business as usual. I mean, he spent the whole off season getting ready to be special teams analyst and helping out with Ed Foley. And as we all know, 2 days before fall camp starts, he's promoted and elevated into this new position, with Bob Wagers being cited for a DUI and resigning. So, and to hear him speak this week and to hear his other tight ends talk, like, he essentially crammed 8 months worth of install into 48 hours. And that's not to say that he had everything down perfectly, but, Marcus Satterfield said a couple of weeks ago, like, maybe he would ask a question or 2 a day, and otherwise was up to speed on the terminology and the concepts and everything else. And so, his is a pretty interesting story because he had a similar situation back in 2015 at Arizona State. He was set to be a grad assistant, and circumstances arose in fall camp where he had to become a full-time assistant. He did it at SMU, and then the staff there had some turnover when their head coach went to TCU. So he actually spent last season as a high school coach, offensive coordinator at a small school in Texas. And so you can kind of hear the teacher in him as well. Like, he's a well-spoken guy, offered up a couple of anecdotal stories on his own, unprompted, which isn't something that everybody's comfortable doing in some of these interview sessions that we have. So I think he's a guy who relates really well. He's smart, he's driven, and, I think it's a credit to Matt Rule as well to say that they were prepared just in case something like this were to arise. They have a young up-and-coming guy who's ready to step in, and I think Josh Martin's, when it's all said and done, is going to be an asset for that offense this season.
Last thing for you, Evan, before we let you go. Husker Baseball put out its fall baseball schedule this week. 20 players coming back from last season, but 25 newcomers. If you look forward to those 5 games that they'll play, one against Omaha, one against Cloud County, and then the 3-day red-white series, who are a couple of returnees that you're looking for in the fall, and then a couple of newcomers you're excited to get your eyes on?
Well, yeah, it's, just like last year, there's a lot of turnover going on there. I think, of the returners, you look at guys who could be potential corner pieces offensively for what this team's going to be. I want to see if Gabe Swanson's kind of taken that next step. I mean, he was kind of a third amigo there behind Max Anderson and Bryce Matthews last year. Does he still look the part? I mean, do you see kind of that next step from Garrett Anglum and Dylan Carey and Josh Karen? Like, those are guys who you're going to rely on a lot more if you're Nebraska to produce, now that 2 of your high draft picks are now professionals. So I think that's where I would start, would be offensively among the returners. And I think I'd take it the other way among the newcomers. I mean, Nebraska's resetting the vast majority of its pitching staff outside of Will Walsh and Jackson Brockett, who have been Sunday starters occasionally in recent years. Like, it's a new look. And so who do you have that can emerge? I mean, all over the place. Who's your closer going to be now that Shea Shanneman's gone? Who's your Friday night guy? What's your rotation look like at all? We're going to get an early sense of that. I think they have a freshman coming in by the name of Tyner Stone, who was really highly touted, and Rob Childress staying around as pitching coach was a big reason why he's here. You can kind of go down the list. Rand Sanders is a UNO transfer who I think has a chance to be the closer potentially. And then another guy they have back, Brett Sears, just tore it up in summer league. And oftentimes how a guy does in the summer is about the most predictive thing you can see with how they might do the following season. So I'll be watching him too, to see if maybe he could become, a workhorse on the weekends for Nebraska as well. But really at this point, a lot more unknowns than there are knowns. They flipped a lot of this roster, but I do think with the additions of Rob Childress into an on-field role, and then Mike Sirianni as the new full-time assistant, they felt like they were able to add a lot of talent and maybe in terms of depth more than they had last year.
Evan, I have to apologize. We're going to keep you on one more because I thought of one while you were talking there regarding baseball. Lincoln East with an incredible run in the Legion World Series. What is an appearance and a performance like that do for just the state of Nebraska on the national map, in the national eyes, for what kind of talent is here in the state? Obviously, Nebraska's coaching staff loves in-state talent. I mean, they have the last few years, and they've been, obviously going deep into Nebraska, whether that's the Omaha or Lincoln area for recruits. But I mean, just on a national scale, I mean, does an appearance as simple as Lincoln East in the World Series final do anything to just put, hey, there's talent in Nebraska, especially in baseball?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what a run that they had, and I think the most amazing part of that was that 3 of their Division I commits on that team weren't even able to participate in the last couple of weekends because of some outdated rules that say when you go to recruiting showcases or other things, you can't come back. And so, I mean, they made that run without some of their best guys out there, which is really impressive. I kind of zoom out too and look just a little bit at how just the state of Nebraska has gotten so much better in terms of developing athletes in any sport. I mean, you think about some of the in-state volleyball players that have come out. Football is producing Power 5 recruits at a rate in the state that's really never been seen. Baseball has, I think, long been sort of a under the radar sort of sport in terms of the talent that it produces. And so I think it's sort of this intersection of, you have more support structures and training centers for athletes mixed with the advent of huddle tapes and technology that really is able to put out there what these guys are doing. And so I think you add all that up, and yeah, I mean, this run that Lincoln East made is just another reminder that there is a ton of talent in this state. And when if your goal as Nebraska is to start building a program from in the state and then you work your way out, like that's not a bad proposition. I mean, I think it gets better every year that goes by when you start seeing, half a dozen guys getting SEC looks or offers. I think there's a recognition within the industry that the state of Nebraska does produce a lot of high-end baseball talent. And something like what Lincoln East just did, I think, is a reminder more to the casual fan that you don't have to go always to the warmer weather states to find some top-notch talent in that sport.
It's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald with us. Evan, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll look forward to continuing to read your stuff during fall camp and into the season. Thanks again, Evan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Evan Bland with us on our VIP line presented by Allo Fiber, where we understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. To wrap up the hour, Nick, we got a question. What's the bets news? Let's just recap some Husker fall headlines for those that aren't in our bubble, that aren't consistent listeners to 93.7 The Ticket. We'll dive a little bit more into fall camp headlines to round out the hour next.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Ready to upgrade your combine with new technology to make your harvest more efficient, meaning more money in your pocket? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine for harvest. Plus, when you purchase a pre-owned combine from Landmark, you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network, along with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running, reducing downtime. View inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the and a variety for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Here's stories program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday night from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Vershawn Jackson for Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrantExcavating.com. They're all hiring, so join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go big Brant.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership. Sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. Compared to other Hondas.
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
This Sunday night at 7 on the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket, we are going to be joined live by 16-year-old standout Jade Abadizian. She pilots the Mobile One sponsor number 71 in the Extreme Outlaw Midget Dirt Track Series. You can join in and be a part of the conversation as we hear how this young lady is putting her mark on dirt track racing. From throwing wild sliders at I-55 in Peebly to last corner passes for the win at Atomic Speedway or driving under Team S for another win back in March. Don't miss a second of the conversation. This Sunday night at 7, right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
General contractors, business owners, property owners. The success of your business requires doing business with the right people. And the right people, when it comes to drywall, acoustical ceilings, and specialty products, are at Premier Drywall. Kevin and his crew will give your project the response and attention it deserves.
You'll get all of the attention to detail and quality that you would expect from someone who's been in the business for 30 years. For your new Kevin at PremierDW.com. Premier Drywall in Lincoln.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times without even knowing. At 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.06 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. And I know how proud one dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yes, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership, sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why 2022 Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing and Air Conditioning.
The winds for today, sunny, breezy. It could be a hot one this afternoon. We'll see a high of around 92. Tonight we'll see mostly clear skies with an overnight low of around 66. Tomorrow we'll see mostly sunny skies again, breezy and a little cooler than 2. Meteorologist Kyle Puckett for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ready to upgrade your combine with new technology to make your harvest more efficient, meaning more money in your pocket? Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine for harvest. Plus, when you purchase a pre-owned combine from Landmark, you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network, along with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running, reducing downtime. View inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local to experience the Landmark difference.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rounding out hour number here on the block. Make it really quick because we're up against the top of the hour. Someone asked on the text line, what's the Betts news? Well, the Betts news is that he is no longer on the team. I believe that was something Matt Rule said on Monday, that Xavier Betts came to him. Said on Saturday. Right.
We
talked
forget,
about it on Monday.
We forget that Matt Rule talks on Saturdays.
Yeah, still getting used to that. I knew it was over the weekend, and we talked about it on Monday. Yeah, Xavier Betts came to Matt Rule, said, Coach, my heart's not in it. I'm off the team. So I think that's a huge storyline. A couple other big storylines in case you're just tuning into Husker Land. I would say the running back competition is a big one. Backup quarterback is definitely not settled yet. And really, it's just a whole bunch of new is the big storyline. New.
Starting with the quarterback, right? Starting with a quarterback. And here's what's so interesting. You guys talked about it a couple days ago. Matt Rule continues to talk about this is just more of a curiosity for me, because it feels like if you've watched Nebraska football over the last couple of years, this moment is somewhat inevitable, even though we're not cheering for it or we don't enjoy it. Quarterback's going to get banged up. Quarterback might have to come out for a couple series or might miss a half of a game or whatever it is. Matt Rule has spoken many times about how big of strides Chubba Purdy has taken in the fall. And we're all sitting here like, I mean, I told you guys off the air a couple days ago, like, okay, great, but we already know Jeff Sims is the guy. Like, we know Jeff's the guy. It's like that's fine that Chubb is doing that, but he's not going to be able to make large enough strides to compete for the starting job. So then that goes to my next question of like, all right, the last few years when Nebraska's needed their backup quarterback to come in, the gap has been so big, so large from Adrian to Luke, and even though Luke started a game, Adrian was better, or Casey to Chubba last year, right? The gap has been so big at the backup from starting quarterback to backup. It's so frustrating as Husker fans because your offense that frankly hasn't been that explosive in years past, outside of like having one guy. When you bring in a backup quarterback, your one-dimensional offense turns like half-dimensional.
And that's part of the problem is that I think your starting quarterback is supposed to be your most dynamic guy. Obviously, the guy you trust the most that's going to make plays to win you the game. The issue for Nebraska has been that instead of going to get, like, to use a baseball reference, like a quad A guy, that's kind of bouncing back and forth. Maybe he's not starter quality, but can fill in here and there. He might not win you the game, but he's not going to lose it for you either. Nebraska hasn't had a quad A guy. Instead, what they've been relying on is a guy who they call up from double A just because he's on the 40-man roster, so they don't have to make a move. That's a huge difference.
And it's a huge difference. And it's even more frustrating, I think, when Nebraska's been on the receiving end of backup quarterbacks coming in and beating them.
Ethan Kaliakmanis comes to mind.
Aiden
O'Connell's a freshman comes to
I was
mind.
just going to say Purdue.
Northwestern's guys.
Illinois. Remember when Brandon Peters got injured and they had what was it, Art Sitkowski come in? Art Sitkowski comes in and beats Nebraska. Like multiple times, Nebraska has had it to where a backup quarterback has come in, whether it's because they've hurt their starting quarterback or because I should say because the other guy's gotten benched and they've lost. And they just look completely hopeless. And maybe that's part on the defense, but also on the flip side, Nebraska's been in many instances where Adrian was hurt and Logan needed to come in, or Adrian was hurt and Luke McCaffrey needed to come in, or now Casey got banged up and it was Chubba Purdy. I understand opponent does matter. Chubba had to go in against Michigan last year, but also Jarrett Sinek went in against Michigan last year, and there was some brighter spots for Jarrett Sinek than there was for Chubba Purdy. Like at times, the gap is just so monumental and so large that it feels like Nebraska doesn't have a chance.
And
they don't have a chance.
And it can't be that way if you want to take yourself seriously.
Bingo.
It just can't.
Even in the Big Ten West.
Right. That's only here for one more year.
Exactly.
Let's throw it to break. When we get back, Dirty Tony and the boys, we're going to get into your text. The baseball recruiting saying Nebraska has been bad at in-state. Nick has some numbers for you. He'll give you those. We'll also go through some other sports as well, their in-state recruiting, what that's looked like in the recent past. All that and more. Austin, Nick, Megan with you on the block.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process, providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
Nutrition Authority invites you to save 35 to 75% off at our back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 14th through 19th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's efforts. It's the entire dealership, sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Oh, is that compared to dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Ready to upgrade your combine with new technology to make your harvest more efficient, meaning more money in your pocket? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine for harvest. When you purchase a pre-owned combine from Landmark, you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network, along with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running, reducing downtime. View inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for fireworks Fridays, souvenir Saturdays, Sunday family fun days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dog. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities available at our global quarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Summertime is in full swing, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance to make your project go smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway. Deck City, your local deck experts.
Vershawn Jackson for Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to brantexcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go big Brant.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bump utility size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Nick is here. What'd you call him earlier?
Yeah, get a name.
Guess he looks
He's a name.
Can you hear?
I said you look like a swimming pool. You look like a big swimming pool over there. I called you Big Swim.
All right. Should I tell the people what you called me the second week that I ever watched you?
Don't hang that over my
There's a
head.
track record here.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 937 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. You're going to go out of here. The Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
It is On the Block. Is no Strick recovering from a procedure. Be back with tomorrow. Joined instead by Nick Sainer. Nick, really appreciate you jumping in.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's always a blast. It's always fun. I will say, like, it is always enjoyable to do shows with other people from time to time because you get different opinions.
Unless it's Rico's voice.
Exactly.
Sorry, didn't mean to call him out.
No, exactly.
Had
so, but Austin, we got some interesting things to get to.
That we do. Let me start off by saying
ahead.
Megan Walker on the board.
Thank you.
Second day in a row. Thanks, Megan. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Check them out. They're back open today, 27th and Pine Lake.
I gotta do my Strick thing. Food for the soul. There you go, Strick. We're thinking of you.
Strick can sing. Like he can
can.
carry it.
Yeah. Yeah,
He'll get that bug sometimes, and it's just awesome.
I don't blame him.
Anyways, Mary Ellen's will make you sing like
Yeah.
Strick. Probably not as good. Strick's got the pipes, but go check them out. 27th and Pine Lake. They're open through the weekend. 402-464-5685 if you have any thoughts on what we're going to talk about. And Nick, that is something that Dirty Tony and the boys prompted us with
Yeah.
on the text line. We are talking with Evan Bland, your question about Lincoln East and their run
Yeah.
to the Legion World Series Championship. Led him to talk about the in-state talent and whatnot. And Dirty Tony says Nebraska's been awful at recruiting in-state talent. Points out Mike Bovey, Michael Hellman, and Alec Boehm as prominent misses for Nebraska baseball. I would say with those three specifically, Bovey, I don't know the story, coming out of Hastings, not a huge town, not a small town. Seemed like he was a really good fit at Omaha. Alec Boehm, I think there was some behind-the-scenes stuff going on.
I agree.
That him being away from home was probably better for both parties. Obviously worked out for Alec Boehm. He's starting third baseman for the Phillies now. And you would probably know more than I would about the Michael Hellman situation.
Michael Hellman, I think there were some other things out there that did not help Michael Hellman. There wasn't a lot of schools that were big on Michael Hellman coming out of high school, in all honesty. Hellman's got a great story, though. Went to Pius, obviously, is probably one of the best, if not the best, to come out of Pius. And his story is really cool. He goes to Hutchinson Community College, powerhouse down at Hutch for the Blue Dragons, ends up winning the National Junior College Player of the Year, goes to Texas A&M, is a middle infielder, everyday middle infielder for the Aggies down there, and then ends up getting drafted, I believe, in the 11th round by the Twins. And he had been very successful in AAA last year up until he got injured now this year, and I believe he's on the 60-day IL. For the Minnesota Twins organization. Plus, the Twins made some interest. I am a firm believer that he would probably have been up in the majors by now if they wouldn't have made some of the signings that they made. Obviously, Carlos Correa is a big one, but Hellman's just a utility guy. He can be a middle infielder. He played third base a little bit last year for the St. Paul Saints, which is the AAA affiliate for the Minnesota Twins. But definitely a guy that Lincoln kind of has tabs on. Bovey, obviously, coming out of high school was not the highest recruited or highly touted either. And like I'm right with you to where he was a really good fit for the Mavericks, right? Kind of going to a smaller school and really blazing a path for himself is huge. And then also it's tough to look at a guy and say, yeah, he in 3 or 4 years, he's going to be a second round pick. I think that kind of is tough at times. Now, another thing that I would say is that, and we were talking during the break, is coaching staff matters.
It absolutely does.
And this is nothing against the previous staff for Nebraska, but they just did not recruit in-state very well, or if at
or as
all.
hard.
Yeah, or as hard. They just didn't try it. I think when you looked back at some of these numbers, and I went back to look at Andy Gertz, thank you, Spotted Cow. You look back at some of these numbers of recruiting. I went back to recruiting classes from the previous staff, and just a reminder, Will Bolt got here. His first season was 2020, and it ended up getting shortened with COVID, and then they ended up winning the Big Ten title, regular season title, in 2021. Well, and that was his first full season. So from 2014, that's the farthest back that I went here. Nebraska in their recruiting class got 3 in-state commits out of their 2014 class. 0 in 2015, 1 in 2016, 1 in 2017, 3 in 2019, and 3 in 2020. And you could even argue that part of that 2020 is a little bit of Will Bolt, right? Coming in, trying to sweep it up. Max Anderson's involved in that class. Max Anderson had an unorthodox route where because of the COVID year, they said, hey, we're allowing people to come back. And Texas A&M made the really bold and questionable decision to move on from Max Anderson, and Max was looking for a home, and Nebraska was able to pick him up. But it's not like these guys are also only taking 5 people in a class.
Right. These are huge recruiting classes.
In 2020, 3 out of the 17 were in-state. 3 out of the 15 in 2019 were in-state. 1 out of 10 in 2017 were in-state. Now you look at Will Bolt's time at Nebraska. 2021, Nebraska had 15 recruits, 9 of them from in-state. 7 of 14 in 2022. In 2023, 3 of 6. And they already have 1 guy for 2025, and that's a Lincoln East infielder, Joey Senstock. So there's 1 of 1 right there.
So, yeah, I think your point about the coaching staff matters. It absolutely does. Regardless of sport, though, we'll drill down back into specific sports in a sec. But my overarching theory on the whole in-state recruiting and 500-mile radius thing has always been this. You don't take in-state kids or kids that are close to home just for the sake of saying you did.
Yeah. 100%.
They still have to fit the program. They still have to fit what it is you want to do, right? The best players in your state most often should be, I don't say good enough for your program, because I think that's a little, demeaning or self-aggrandizing to some degree. Yeah. But there is a role for probably at least the top handful, if not the top couple handfuls of your in-state talent. You should be able to take athletes like that and make them work in your system, especially now, to your point, just the amount of talent that's coming out of Nebraska in all sorts of sports across the board, right?
Absolutely.
There's got to be a role for them. One of the examples of this that I, go back to is the Harburg versus Flores kind of debate, right? We can look back now and say, well, why didn't Nebraska take Zane Flores? Like, he just would have been.
It'd be Harburg versus Cole Payton.
Cole Payton. Okay, that's a little different. But even, I think you can play that
Flores?
out. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard that comparison.
But Zane Flores didn't fit what Scott Frost wanted to do, right? It makes sense that Scott Frost would have said, okay, yeah, we have our in-state quarterback in Heinrich Harburg, and not go after him, right? I know they're not the same class, but...
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So that's sort of my thing. I felt like the Heinrich Harburg commitment, which I think is working out better for Nebraska now than it looked like it was going to, a year or so ago. At the time, it felt like Scott Frost was taking an in-state quarterback just because there was pressure to take him. Whereas if he, waits a year, pursues Zane Flores more, maybe changes the system, that's different. But again, I get it. The top guys in your state should be good enough or should be able to find a role in your system. But if you really, truly believe they don't cut it athletically, they don't cut it mentally, they're not a good culture fit, then you better be right.
That was something that interesting that caught my attention. What you just said was if you wait a year, right? And that's like the perfect way to kind of just put a bow on the last 5 years. It was never building towards the future. It was building for the now. Right. And maybe that's something that feels different around this staff. Just from the outside point of view, you can just say, look at how many offers and how much they recruit future classes more now than they did with the previous staff. Obviously it was there, it was present. and things like that. In 2022, they were talking to 2023 guys and vice versa. But it's like at times it felt like there was never an investment of, all right, we can wait. And the guys we have in the class in the room right now will get us through to what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And next year, let's start building that relationship now. And let's start, obviously putting effort into that recruiting relationship in the current time. So, I mean, that was really interesting where you bring up those two guys, because I think a lot of Husker fans, and myself included, as a guy that did see Zane Flores quite often, doing what he did, you saw him going to a place like Oklahoma State, and where he's probably going to be fighting for the starting job here pretty soon, especially now that Spencer Sanders.
Probably next year. They got Alan Bowman from Michigan, but next year, probably Zane's year.
Exactly. And so you're going, man, how Nebraska fans, I think, are exhausted of seeing guys go other places and excel.
Oh, for sure.
And now, not that every single player is going to go somewhere and excel, but I think there's this underlying fear and just, oh no, what's going to happen if they do? It's not that they're cheering for them to fail, but I don't know if they're also cheering for them to be successful, because they're going, man, we're going to have those conversations many days and many weeks and nights of, why didn't he come to Nebraska and do what he's doing at Oklahoma State or doing at X school or X or Y institution?
And that's a huge thing when it comes to football, because I think as we look at some other sports here in just a little bit, they have, for the most part, done a good job of getting the best in-state talent, right? They're not maybe as high-profile sports. I mean, it's probably not a more high-profile sport than football.
Right.
But when's the last time, to your point, that you heard about Avante Dickerson? When's the last time you heard about Xavier Watts?
Yeah.
For example, guys like that were huge Nebraska targets that didn't go to Nebraska. Avante Dickerson hasn't done much. Xavier Watts, does he have a catch at Notre Dame? I couldn't tell you. Those are guys that are huge Nebraska targets, but you can't be afraid to let guys go if you trust your evaluation. But again, just be right.
Here's the do we ever know where Avante Dickerson ended up?
Great question.
Oh, he ends up at Utah State. Avante Dickerson ended up at Utah State. So anyway, by the way, Xavier Watts from Burke. He went to Notre Dame, I believe flipped to a defensive back. He changed positions.
I totally missed that one.
Because it kind of went under the radar. I believe he's a safety. He's a safety now for Notre Dame going into his final season, and last year had 24 tackles and 3 deflections.
So he has carved out a bit of a role.
A little bit of
but
a
again,
role.
think about the way he was talked about as an in-state guy and how Nebraska needed to get him.
Yeah.
Because he would have been part of that Henrich Hickman class,
That
right?
was in 2019.
He was the same year as them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on that Burke team.
Right.
And so, I mean, we can even just go like the 2019 recruiting class. That was the big one where it seemed like everything was going so well. I want to say that was 2019. Everything was going so well for Nebraska on the recruiting trail. You were going into year 2 of Scott Frost. It was that year 2 jump is going to be made, and things like that. But unfortunately, that just didn't work. Maybe they were 2020 instead. But either way, you were making large jumps on the recruiting trail. It was 2020. It looks like. I can't find them. Anyway, either way, it was one of those 2019 or 2020. But you're absolutely right. Think about the way that those guys were being talked about, but now they haven't panned out. Xavier Watts has, but they haven't panned out necessarily.
Well, he just found a role.
Yeah.
Right after a position switch.
It took time.
Right. And again, that's, I think, plays into both sides of it. I don't think you can say Nebraska missed on him because they were recruiting him as a wide receiver, but also they did miss out on some production. And Nebraska's had good defensive backs, so maybe it's not as big of a miss there. A good point from the text line. We only hear about the misses that succeed. I would say we hear about the other ones too, the in-state guys that don't pan out. The ones that you do get, like, well, why aren't there more? Why aren't they living up to everything we thought they were? And as with everything, there's a lot that goes into it. Sometimes it's evaluation, sometimes it's development. It's a combination of those factors. Timing, always a really big part of that. So, yeah, and Spotted Cow makes a similar point. For every Noah Fant For every Harrison Phillips, there are 4 Avante Dickersons.
You're absolutely right.
That's just how recruiting works, right? So again, these coaches are in the get it right business. Whether it's take in-state guys or let them walk, just get it right. Because I don't know about you, Nick. I don't really care where the athletes at Nebraska come from. I just want them to win. I want to put on a good show, represent the university, all that, but win. I don't care where you're from.
Well, because guess what? This conversation becomes mute if there's no reason to question Nebraska's recruiting.
Exactly.
Right? This whole entire, we're not having these conversations. We're not bringing up the guys that they missed or the guys that even, for that matter, everybody's freaking out about the transfer portal. Utilize it into a positive way and find success out of it. And nobody talks about it. That conversation of, oh man, transfer portal is ruining college football. We only feel that way because it's taken a lot of Nebraska players. Like that's how we feel. But if Nebraska is able to, number one, weather the losses, and number two, utilize it for their own good and to turn it into a way to maybe succeed and find wins, then we're not saying, oh man, yeah, what's this team look like if so-and-so doesn't transfer? Or yeah, that guy that transferred, he got us one more win this year and puts us to a bowl game. Like, we're not talking about that. It's find a way to win, and nobody's going to be concerned or have questions or be pissed off about how your team and roster is made up. Nobody's going to be questioning, is this staff doing an okay job on the recruiting trail? Guess what? Because Kansas State finishes in the, somewhere in the 25 to 30 range. And this is coming from somebody that obviously Nebraska finishes usually top 25. Kansas State finishes 25 to 50 range, if not lower. And they just won the Big 12 title last year.
But look what Wisconsin and Iowa have done for 10 years.
Exactly. Not a single person is questioning Chris Kleiman's ability to either find talent or develop it. And so that's, I think, what everybody Husker fan is hoping for, that in 5 years, we're not sitting here questioning what Matt Rule is saying or what kind of talent Matt Rule is identifying either. We'll see what happens.
He's Nick Sainer. I'm Moss Norman, Megan Walker on the board. Let's take a break. When we get back, I want to dive into a little bit more of this in-state recruiting thing, Nick. And I think there's an even more obvious example than baseball when it comes to in-state recruiting and falling short. Let's get into that next.
Proud to be voted Best Vape Shop.
Generation V
is thrilled to announce our newest location is now open at 27th and Superior.
Generation V.
Explore the largest selection of vape, Delta 8, Kratom, all your favorite disposables, e-liquid, and premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our extensive collection to help you find the perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, Seward, York, Kearney, and Beatrice. Visit our newest store, now open at 27th and Superior, GenerationV.com. E6 contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. Repairing, replacing, and restoring. Remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
On your home air conditioner? Call the company Lincoln has counted on since 1952, Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. No matter what brand you have, when you need service, you want Bryant's experienced pros working for you. Friendly NATE certified technicians with the tools, training, and technology to restore your comfort quickly. No matter what brand, when you need service, just call Bryant. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a gallon bucket to a semi-load. And forget, they deliver. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Summertime is in full swing, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and Timber Tech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to guide the project go smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway. Deck City, your local deck experts.
Is this you? You feel the same way every day, and it's not good. You may think there's a magic pill that can fix you. There isn't. Limitless Male has found that the majority of men who admit they feel bad are suffering with low testosterone, which can cause these symptoms: low energy, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, low libido. Sound familiar? Get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. Your first consult is free. Insurance accepted.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring. I was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back. Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.org. Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Fun Days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today: sunny, breezy. It will be a hot one this afternoon. We'll see a high of around 92. Tonight we'll see mostly clear skies with an overnight around 66. And tomorrow we'll see mostly sunny skies again, breezy, and a little. Tomorrow we'll see an afternoon high of around 82. Meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Back to On the Block, Rick in Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Austin Norman, Nick Sainer with you here on the block. Diving into some more Husker athletics in-state recruiting. And Nick, we got this prompt from the text line. Concerned about baseball in-state recruiting. I think you did a great job kind of debunking that shift from the previous staff to Will Bolt's staff. I think Will Bolt gets credit for that. I think Rob Childress is a big part of it as well, because Absolutely. I think it's a lot of the pitchers, right, that have gotten flipped. And I think that's confidence in Rob Childress and the work he's been able to do.
Oh, I agree. I mean, things that Rob Childress brings, not only just on the field, but also off the field, such a stabilizer, right? And one of the biggest issues for Nebraska has been simple things like ERA and weathering hits and trying to figure out how to lower walks and like those simple baseball things that frankly keep you in a game, right? How many times this year did Nebraska need to score 10 runs to win a game? And at times 10 runs wasn't even enough. It felt like there was a lot of times. So from an off the field standpoint, a guy with a lot of experience, a lot of stability, and frankly, is somebody that's had a lot of success He's had a lot of success during his time at Texas A&M. And so guys in the baseball world, recruits, I mean, they know that, right? So they gravitate towards that, I think.
The program I would be slightly more worried about when it comes to in-state recruiting is men's basketball. I get the elephant in the room that's Creighton, right? Nebraska has more competition in men's basketball recruiting than really any other, major, often thought about sport.
Yeah.
Because of the success Creighton's had. Going back through their rosters, Creighton had fewer guys from Nebraska than I thought. And I don't give them credit for Baylor Shireman. That's a transfer edition. So I'm not going to give Nebraska credit for Josiah Alec.
Oh, well, we can't give him for Sam Griesel either.
For Sam Griesel either, right. But looking back through Creighton's additions to the roster, especially from Omaha, the two that come to mind are Kyrie Thomas and Sharif Mitchell.
Yeah.
Not superstars by any means, but played a role. Is Sam Hoiberg in that category after 1 year? Because without that, you're looking at Brady Hyman. I mean, Cale Jacobson as a really good C1 player that hasn't made an impact yet. I mean, I love Cale Jacobson, what he did at the high school level, but Sharif Mitchell and Kyrie Thomas have done more.
Yeah, it's tough because, like I was telling you during the break, what makes Creighton so annoying, I think that's a good word, is that they're able to get in-state guys, the players like Sharif Mitchell, right, that necessarily weren't the highest level recruits. Jason Green's in that conversation as well. I think Jason Green's going to play a pretty sizable role in Creighton's team this year. The guy out of Millard North, that is. But when you look also at Creighton, they don't just stay in state. Like, it's not like they're sweeping up all the in-state talent and Nebraska's like, man, now we have to go out of state for it. They're doing both. They're getting a top 50 guy out of another state far away, and they're beating.
They get Mike Miller's kid. They get Arthur Klum out of Arizona.
And they're beating out blue bloods for these guys. And so then you have a team in Nebraska that just can't seem to find any continuity. And that's what somebody on the text line said. I don't want to jump back and forth from football to basketball. But regarding transfers and stuff, I think it was Brad said something along the lines of they won 4 games this year. It doesn't matter who left. And he's talking about Nebraska football. That is, well, no, it does. And that's kind of my point, is that it kind of does matter, because you lose out, and Nebraska basketball's experienced this. You lose out on continuity. Nebraska doesn't have a quarterback this year that has been at Nebraska. You lost an opportunity to have continuity there. Wide receiver, what's been Nebraska's wide receiver situation in the last 3 years? Samori Toure, Trey Palmer, and now Billy Kemp. It's a new guy. It's a revolving door every single year. And it's not like, now going back to basketball, it was the Jervay Greens, it was the Cam Max, it was
Deshaun Burke,
guys that we don't even remember because they were here for such a short time, and then either obviously, fluttered and struggled in Nebraska, and then kind of just went out the door. And you brought us another guy in that was promising but didn't work out. It's been this lack of continuity, and that's maybe why Nebraska only won 4 games last year. And on top of the coaching, like, that's what we're getting at, is nobody questions your ability to use the transfer portal. And when you are able to use the transfer portal as a weapon instead of a lifeline to stay afloat, that's when you know you have a good program and you have a solid and stable program. But unfortunately, in men's basketball, maybe prior to this year, and maybe that last year too, you kind of had guys that were carrying over. Casey, Thor was here for a few years. You had started at Derek Walker, a huge one. Getting a guy like a Sam Griesel was big, even though he was through the transfer portal. It felt like you had a little more continuity, and Nebraska actually had one of their better seasons, if not the best, under Fred Hoiberg this last season. Husker football has had to use it as a lifeline the last couple of years. Who are they going to go to out of the receiving room? You had Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who left, but now comes back, and there's still question marks surrounding him. Xavier Betts left, came back, left again. So then you go out and grab Billy Kemp and Joshua.
Combine them into one.
Yeah, Billy Kemp and Joshua Fleeks. And we're all sitting here going, yeah, we expect Billy Kemp to have, a Trey Palmer type of year. We're expecting, but man, that's putting not only a lot of pressure on Billy Kemp, that's putting a lot of pressure on Jeff Sims, who, guess what, is also new. And so it's this big thing of when you are able to use the transfer portal as a weapon instead of a lifeline or instead of a
supplement,
float, right? To stay above water, then you're okay. And maybe that's where Matt Rule is going to get us to, get Nebraska to in 4 or 5 years. It's just going to there's going to be a lot of growing pains, as we talked about with Evan.
As you look at successful programs, in Nebraska and across the country, they field teams every year, but they all fit an overarching program philosophy where it seems like the teams that scuffle, that struggle, don't know what they are as a program, right? DB talked about that a lot when we were up at Tiburon about brand and identity, who you are, what you present to the outside world, as in fans, neutral observers, and recruits is important. What too many programs at Nebraska have done is piecemeal it, right? Try to prioritize short-term gains. And it's different in college than the pros, right? I think sometimes I come into these conversations with a pro-style mindset where, just tank. Yeah, blow it all up and you can rebuild from there. You can't necessarily do that in college. The timelines are different. The way you go about team building is much different than it is in the pros. But I think some similar thoughts can apply in some ways. But again, overall, they're different. So you can piecemeal a team together to try to make a 9-8 playoff push in the NFL. But what are you building to behind that? Are you having success because of the young guys you were able to draft? Or is it you're staying afloat because of crafty veterans and you have to blow it all up eventually anyways? So what I think needs to happen is more of that emphasis on not next year or how do we, minimize short-term losses, but how do we build something sustainable? I don't think that's been a focus in enough sports.
Well, and I think when you look at Nebraska basketball, and here we are jumping, but when you look at Nebraska basketball, that's why Austin, this year is so crucial. It is so crucial, not only for Fred Hoiberg's job status, but just crucial in general, because here they are having for sure 1 year and kind of now 2 years somewhat of continuity and continuous, of similar guys on their roster, right? And not a change in the coaching staff. You're going to have, Nate Lenzer is going to be here for a few years. You have Ernie Ziegler going into his second year. You have
Adam Howard.
Yeah, Adam Howard, who's going into a second. You have guys that have been in the room. And so it didn't feel like such a tumultuous offseason for Nebraska basketball. Although they got guys, you were never real, like I said, they had to go through the transfer portal and things like that. Because don't forget, they were just a 500 basketball team last year. It's not like they, are the most attractive transfer destination. But through all that, it's like this is an extremely crucial year because if they're able to build off of a 500 ball club last year and build on that to get, 4 or 5 games above 500 this year, this steady progress is going to be crucial for Nebraska basketball because then next year, and we've talked about it, the first few years of Fred Hoiberg, really bumpy, and maybe not because of Fred Hoiberg, maybe because of other guys in the room.
And see, that's where I think that can be true, but also not at the same time, because
we can't blame it on other guys.
You can blame it on other guys, but it reflects on Fred.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
what if I told you that Bart Torvik, kind of off-brand I don't say off-brand. Bart Torvik does his own thing. It's also really good. Projects Nebraska to go 17-14 next year.
And that's better than that was where you're at last year.
10th in the Big Ten.
Well, that's where you're,
which is still better than you were last year.
It's unfortunate that you're in such a balanced conference, right? Where it's like, Northwestern is going to be a fringe top 25 team and they might beat the brakes off of Wisconsin one night, but then they can, lose to Nebraska the very next night. So you just have a bunch of just kind of like mediocre teams between, the 4th and 12th teams in the conference.
Okay, so Nebraska is rated 50th in the preseason at 17-14. Michigan also 17-14. Rutgers expected to go 18-13. Then it's a drop down to Minnesota and Penn State. But above Nebraska, just by a handful of spots, you have 18-13 Iowa, 18-13 Ohio State, 19-12 Maryland, 20-11 Northwestern, all within 15 spots in Nebraska.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, that's what we're saying here, though, is that reading off those records, those projected records, that's 2 wins away. That's 1 or 2 wins away. So it's if you're able to steal one.
Wisconsin 17-13, I just saw too.
What helps steal wins? Veteran leadership, right? When adversity hits you and punches you in the mouth. Nebraska had a Sam Griesel last year. Nebraska had a Derek Walker last year. Who's going to be that guy for them this year? Their version of Derek Walker. They can't go out and ask Josiah Allick. They can't go out and ask Rink Mass. They can't go out and ask whoever to be Derek Walker and Sam Griesel. You got to figure out a way for Josiah Allick to be best Josiah Allick that you can have. You got to figure it out. And that's why it's going to look different. It's not going to be the same of like Derek Walker being so fluid and being able to go downhill as easy as he was. Like, it's not going to look that way. It's not going to be maybe a point guard. It might have if Aaron Eulis was going to play, but it's like, it's not going to look like a Sam Griesel where he's strictly a pass first point guard. Those guys, they fit really well together last year. And you hope that they just figure out a way, as every team in the country has to do every single year when you have a smaller roster than you do of football and other sports, figure out a way to make it work. And that's where it falls on the coaches most of all.
Speaking of Nebraska basketball, an update courtesy of Seamus McKnight. Appreciate it, Seamus. Rink Mass in the Netherlands lose to Croatia. Final score 89-81. Rink, as Strick and I talked about, the second youngest guy on the team, did come off the bench again today. 2 points, 5 rebounds, but a team high 4 assists for the Netherlands. So through his 3 games, 6 points, 6 boards, about an assist and a half per game. And then here's a throwback, Nick. Our boy, Rico's guy, maybe he's a dude, I don't remember. Thorir Thorbjarnarson doing work. He plays for Iceland. They're in Group C of the FIBA World Cup. He scores 17 points off the bench in a 17-point win over Bulgaria.
There it is.
Shoots 8 of 10 from the floor, adds 4 rebounds and a couple assists. All that in 15 minutes of work. So Thor got a thunder back at it.
Thorir, how about that? We love it.
We do. Let's take a break. Jay Foreman's ready to get in here and bust your chops. We'll give him the opportunity to close out on the block.
Time.
It's not often a man wakes up and says, I feel the best I have in years. We hear this all the time at Limitless Mail. And it can happen to you when you go to Limitless Mail and get a test to see what your body is doing. That's how simple it is. Schedule a free consult with Limitless Mail. Discuss your symptoms. Do the blood test. If your lab results say you're low in testosterone, we can fix that. Age is just a number. You can feel your best again. Just ask Limitless Mail.
Ironhide Construction has an immediate opening for an administrative assistant in their Lincoln office. The ideal candidate will have experience performing a variety of general office, administrative, and clerical duties. If you have excellent communication, interpersonal, and organizational skills, and are the type of person who enjoys keeping track of all the fine details, then this job is for you. Learn more online at ironhideconstruction.com/careers. Ironhide Construction. Buildings and genuine service at a reasonable price.
For Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business for 29 years and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrantExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go Big Brant!
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the area in South Dakota. H&H has a team that are licensed and certified installers and an insurance preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to HNHroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
Need service on your home air conditioner? Call the company Lincoln has counted on since 1952, Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. No matter what brand you have, when you need service, you want Bryant's experienced pros working for you. Friendly NATE certified technicians with the tools, training, and technology to restore your comfort quickly. No matter what brand, when you need service, just call Bryant. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 02-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Yeah. What if I told you that a Babe Ruth bat
that was matched to a 1923 game, sold for $1.3 million.
An auction of this caliber with these kind of gloves on, and then like this is just like some glasses on the front of his nose. This bat was used by Babe Ruth in 1923. This photo proves that this bat was used by Babe Ruth. The bidding will start at $1 million.
Days from 1 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Action Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman in Lincoln. 40483-6515 to start section.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives.
Hey, moms and dads. Bring the whole to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Fun Days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
To On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, we're here on the block, wrapping up. Austin Norman, Nick Sainer, been with you for a couple hours. We welcome in Jay Foreman, who is able to breathe now.
I am.
We like that.
I have not seen get Kevin Gogan ever again, but that's it could. But see, they did the. Remember, they did the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, and it was, I don't know, what NFL show, and Kevin Gogan was like out in his overalls, like somewhere in Texas, and he was like, "Hey, you know, I'm here to kick your tail because I got to feed my family." So we had a run in because remember he also was famous for fighting Michael Strahan in the Pro Bowl.
That's right. That's
who
right.
does that? You're in Hawaii, relaxing all week, no pads, and you're fighting at a Pro Bowl.
Man, that's the second time that Michael Strahan got brought up on the show today.
Guess give you $5 if you guess the first time Michael Strahan got brought up on the show.
Michael Strahan. Was it because of his gap?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's I was my locker was right next to his. Do you remember when he was?
How much bigger is the gap in person?
Oh, it's enormous. Hey,
can you fit a straw between the teeth?
It looks like somebody kicked the door open and said, "Hey, I'm here." Right. But he told me. I asked him about
There's
it.
just one's left open.
I asked him. He's one of the best teammates I ever had. I came in the middle of the season, you know, and you know he took me out, took me underneath his wing. So I asked him about it. He's like, you know what? He's like, yeah, I could get it fixed. He's like, but people know me for it. And I'm gonna tell you, that dude. Let me tell you something. After every practice, he was doing something with the media. He's one of the best teammates I ever had.
That man got a job with GMA, Good Morning America, and with that gap, anything's possible.
He has a great story. He was a great teammate, but the gap is. Remember when he did the interview with the dude and he was eating and it was like flying through there? I was literally sitting right there, and I was like, I can't believe this right now. like somebody's interviewing just getting hit with like hot dogs or whatever. Because they interview you after lunch, right?
man. Okay.
So Strahan, he'd work out and then he just grab something. And the thing about Strahan, so I just get there, right, and to New York, and they're a great franchise. I mean, if they they'll do anything. So I go into the meeting and there's a lazy boy, right? So I'm thinking like maybe that's the coach. He's got a bad back because it's Mike Waffle, who's older, D-line coach. It was a defensive meeting. Strahan comes in, everybody else got to be there like 5 minutes before, Coughlin. He come in 2 minutes before, lights go off, out like a light.
In the lazy boy.
In the lazy boy, kicking it. I mean, I was like, man, that's the life right there, man. It was all good. So, but no, he's that gap has made him a lot of money.
Yeah,
it split a lot of gaps, including the one on his teeth.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Was the single season sack record. He's a good.
Didn't JJ Watt break it, or he get close?
He got close, and his brother got close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Strahan got the little layup from Brett Favre.
Right.
A little assist by Brett Favre. Imagine that right now.
Shocker.
I don't think they're buddies right now. Brett Favre is in a little bit of heat.
No. So Jay, I probably won't see you tomorrow before showtime. We're ready to go Friday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
I know tomorrow's Thursday. We're ready to go for Friday?
We're ready to go. Rocking and rolling.
Yep, there we go. On and popping.
Who would have ever known,
Yeah, here we go. Looking forward to
it. Me and you popping in there. First, I jumped in there because it was hot. The first couple games, boy.
That's true. It's
hot as Hades. And so I was like, hey, Nick, where you at? If you look, and the air conditioning is suspect at best. In there.
Hey, you're just out of the sun, though.
Yeah, but it's
behind you.
But it's better than being, outside. So we got in there, jumped in there, and then it's maybe that's just the way it is. It's
Here we are.
Yeah.
It's crazy how things happen.
And I would say last year we saw some pretty cool games. We saw the Millard West. They were down by 20 points. Jackson Williams. I was like, you have to guard this dude. The last play of the game, literally walk off. What do they call it? Walk off in baseball?
Yeah, walk off in baseball.
8 missed tackles, touchdown.
64-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And just
so they guard him, but couldn't.
Yeah, they tried.
Well, they didn't do it for like the last 3 drives. He had 4 catches, 3 touchdowns.
The best
efficient.
The best part was that the entire play, I'm trying to walk the listeners through the play, and Jay's just just the laugh. Oh, he gone. See ya. That's just Jay in the background. Nobody can hear me. No, we have the highlight, and nobody can hear what I'm saying. All you hear is Jay go, he gone. Oh, he gone. See ya.
He's fast though, right?
He's fast.
His dad, I play with his dad. Jamel's fast.
Heck of a baseball player too.
Yeah,
and
heck
of a baseball player.
He hit the sideline, cocked that head. He was gone. I mean, he might as well just ran right into the locker room. And then you know what? It helped him get to North Dakota State. Ran right up there and got a full scholarship. That's all I'm sending out to people. Look at these 3 plays. Yeah. They can't guard. But the running back had like 500 yards rushing.
Yeah.
He was like Larry Zonk out there.
Because they only threw like 5 or 6 passes all game. And
4 of them to one guy, 3 of them for touchdowns.
Because they only passed like 6. He only had the completion to Jackson Williams.
Right.
He only had like 4 completions on the day, and it was all to Williams.
Yeah. And 0 in the first half. 0, nothing in the first half.
Run the ball, guys. Feeling himself.
Yeah. We saw some pretty cool games. We saw East against Kearney. Kearney upset him the first game. Southeast against Elkhorn South, and the running back that's at Nebraska now, that he was pretty special. So it's been fun.
It's going to be our last year of Max Butenbach, final year of Lincoln East Bauman.
Right.
I believe Dash is going to Wyoming.
Has he committed yet? I know he has a couple.
I know he has. I'm pretty sure I saw that he committed to Wyoming just a couple days ago. He's a dynamic running back.
Yep, committed on the 8th.
There you go. So committed to
Wyoming.
August? August, yeah. So 8 days ago. You got your boy Cheddock.
Yeah, Caden Cheddock. They got in the East is going to be defensively pretty good.
Well, second year of a quarterback, right? That was the big thing last year. Was they had to transition from Noah Walters 2 years ago to this like combo quarterback deal where it was
at
like
the beginning.
Jeter Worthley, and then also I think it's Harrison Beaster. I don't shoot the
that
messenger,
lasted
but
about a game and a half, and I was like, you got to put the other dude in there, and then it kind of
Then we got an East game towards the end of the year, and you could tell that it was Worthley for a substantial amount of time. So no, it's gonna be a good time. Looking forward to it. We got Lincoln Northwest and Pius on Friday night at UBT Stadium. Our first time at UBT.
Yeah.
Rest of the games will be at Seacrest, though. And
The home of Aaron Davis.
Yeah,
Aaron
exactly.
Davis Field.
Aaron Davis, the field that AD built. So,
Hey, those
love
kids,
that.
I want to give them some tips. Listen, the last year, the amount of cramping in that first game was how many? Probably at least 20.
Oh, yeah.
Look, get off the SARMs or whatever it is. Get off the up your gas or creatine. Let it go for a day, so you're not out there.
Give
in that
your
sun.
body a
Give
break.
your body a break. These guys are cramping left.
Dropping like flies.
in the second quarter.
Yeah.
It
wasn't
might have been a
taking long.
5-hour game because it was like everybody started cramping. So
It wasn't taking long.
Yeah, it was. That's the only tip I can give you because
Yeah.
it's pretty brave to get out there this early.
Yeah, so about 6:40 pregame show, and we'll take you through the rest of your Friday night there. So we'll have Thursday and Fridays, a lot of times Thursdays. But yeah, it's mostly a lot of Lincoln stuff we touch. I know for a fact we're checking out every Lincoln High School game. Or every Lincoln High School at one point will be on our airwaves. Some of them are duplicates. We got the big rivalry between Southeast and Southwest coming up in a few weeks. So,
East, I'm gonna tell you,
East is a big one.
Be on the lookout for North Star. Tommy Armstrong is the offensive coordinator. They got a really good staff.
James Thompson.
I
was just in with Ricky on Sunday.
I was going to say, I was just messaging back and forth with Coach Thompson earlier. I think we're going to get him on the air here in the next couple of days.
Really
First year
good
for him.
Really good freshman and sophomore class. Big, strong, physical kids. Southeast has quite a few freshmen coming in, and they got all the skill positions. Now it's just up to, they're multiple sport athletes, so we got to make sure the basketball coach doesn't mess them up over there.
Yeah, for sure.
This is 93.7 KNTK, The Ticket. Jay, one thing I want to get your thoughts on before we send it over to you for old school. Robert Saleh on Hard Knocks lit into his offensive line.
Yeah.
Is calling a position group out like that effective in an NFL locker room?
Yeah, I mean, if it's warranted, I mean, sure, you're gonna be in your feelings. That's everybody's initial reaction, but the head coach can do it, and it can't be repetitive. Then you got to have your leaders and stuff get after him as well, because, look, man, this is a business. I mean, he's coaching. If you don't perform, all of them are well compensated. I'm assuming, right?
Better than I am.
And this is the job, right? This isn't playtime anymore. This isn't, the off season's over. We're getting ready for a season. We got a Hall of Fame quarterback, an all-pro running back. We got everything we need, and you guys are out there lollygagging. You better get it together. Or, if you really want to get in your feelings, then you'll start bringing in guys that, take your spot. So, yeah, I think that's just part of Hard Knocks. It's part of training camp, and it's part of coaching, and it's part of the business. And I'm sure that they took it to heart, hopefully, because you don't want to be that position group that let the team down. The Jets could have went to the Super Bowl, but their offensive line was horrible. You don't want to be like that. So I like Robert Saleh. Any coach that says he's taking receipts, I like.
Better,
and he's backed it up
so far.
Yeah, so far to this point. Everything that dudes have said against him, I mean, he's either made good on it, or here we are.
Here's a great story too.
Yeah, we were talking about it at the top of the show. It's like I really liked Robert Saleh while he was the D coordinator at the 49ers.
49ers, he had Houston before that. He was D-line coach. He was in the financial world, and he, wasn't happy. Just said, "Hey, I want to coach football," and worked his way up. And now he's in the NFL.
What coach in your eyes is going to struggle the most in year one? Cardinals?
Oh yeah.
Cardinals guy.
Have you seen?
I'm blanking on his name, but
have you seen the picture of Kyler Murray?
Gannon, yes.
Hold on, time out.
Yeah,
time out. Have you seen a grown man with a sports bra? I know it's catapult. I get it, but you're not practicing, right?
Yeah.
So you have nothing to really measure, or they don't need to track anything. You're in rehab.
Yeah.
Whether you're sweating or not is probably that. And you just, I mean, I already couldn't take you serious because you want to play video games versus play quarterback.
Yeah.
Now you got that picture on the internet, and you think people aren't going to see it. Pocket Hercules.
You knew it wasn't going to go well though there, because Buda Baker on that video, when on his introductory video, the Gannon comes in, he's like, he dabs up Buda Baker. He's like, "Man, coach, I'm so happy you're here." 2 weeks later, Buda Baker requested the trade. Knew he's like, all right, this guy does not want
it. It's hard because a lot of times you get those young coaches, and they obviously had success at Philly. You know, Arizona is a tremendously talented team.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't have the right leadership, and Kingsbury, whether you like him or love him or whatever, I really think he should be the next Bachelor. That's probably up.
Is he back from Thailand yet?
No, he's in USC. He's like
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And he was too busy doing the Johnny Manziel documentary,
Right.
spilling all the beans about how he knew everything that Johnny Manziel was doing, but just did not
Didn't say anything. Right. Yeah. And now you're gonna go coach college kids.
Yeah, now you're gonna go talk about
That's
it.
real smart. Yeah. And
Keep
so
telling on yourself.
So they're really talented, and Buda Baker is a 5-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
Like
They got Isaiah Simmons, the guy
Yeah.
from Clemson, a couple
Yeah,
years ago. They got
mhm.
some good pieces.
and Buda Baker might be older than this guy. Like, dude, I don't need to hear this from you. Like, you know, so I think it's a struggle when you get new coaches and young coaches in the NFL because you're dealing with grown men versus college.
Mhm.
You know, you got the carrot of scholarship and playing. To be honest with you, a coach could be mad at you and not want to play you, but if you're making so much money, you're playing. Yeah. So, you know, so you got to really navigate that. And if guys don't do it, you'll never win.
About a minute left in the show here. What's coming up on Old School, Jay?
We're gonna do. They came out. ESPN came out the final top, or they ranked all the teams. We're also gonna dive into. There's 10 guys whose draft stock are the most important, and we're gonna talk a little bit of the linebacker room. You got some guys that got hurt. Who's gonna step up and who needs to step up here in the next? What's today? Wednesday. So you got what? 4 days? Was that 96 hours?
Mhm.
Yeah, because after Saturday.
Depth chart's set.
Yeah, well, it is, but you might not know till Wednesday. If you haven't done anything Saturday, you might keep working. You just hope that somebody goes out there and trips over their foot. Don't start. Don't do not say it, Nick.
I was going to say
Oklahoma
Turf
game.
Monster. I was
Yeah,
going to say
yeah.
We got that highlight ready for Friday, though. Oh,
No.
Jake Foreman tackle.
Jay Foreman, DP on Old School next. Appreciate Nick sitting in, Megan. Old School 93.7 The Ticket comes your way next.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system owners begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for the. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 3 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring. Remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation or 40420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Ironhide Construction has an immediate opening for an administrator in their Lincoln office. The ideal candidate will have experience performing a variety of general office, administrative, and clerical duties. If you have excellent communication, interpersonal, and organizational skills, the type of person who enjoys keeping track of all the fine details, then this job is for you. Learn more online at ironhideconstruction.com/careers. Ironhide Construction, quality buildings and genuine service. Get with pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Is this you? You feel the same way every day, and it's not good. You may think there's a magic pill that can fix you. There isn't. Limitless Male has found that the majority of men who admit they feel bad are suffering with low testosterone, which can cause these symptoms: low energy, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, low libido. Sound familiar? Get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. Your first consult is free. Insurance accepted.
Summertime is in full swing, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great start as local sourcing decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite. For advice from real deck professionals, proper guidance to make your project smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location, 33rd and Cornhusker Way. Your local deck expert.
There's no the Mercado. Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else. Open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality. And away from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the on their Friday feast menu. today at 84th and Havelock and cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. Orthopedic and one-stop shop for expert care.